But we begin with Chuck Schumer praising Donald Trump. Take a look.
I was born in Brooklyn, the same place where Donald Trump's family comes from. His father and my grandfather were builders together in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah. Even when he was much younger, you knew that he was going to go places. So it's no.
Senator Schumer and Mr. Trump are good friends. They both have a passion for life, and you get that immediately talking to him.
Obviously, a few years ago, before Trump was president, but he was kind of right. Now Schumer has nothing nice to say. He's already at his lowest popularity rate in New York State, according to the just released Siena poll out today. AOC, by the way, on the rise big time. So the question tonight is, are Chuck's days numbered? But if there is one constant in the Democratic Party, it's that they don't really, truly believe in anything. Everything they say, everything they do is about their own political power.
What do Chuck Schumer, Al Gore, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have in common? Well, if you guessed political hypocrisy and double standards, you're spot on. Today, we're diving deep into the glaring contradictions that have taken over the Democratic Party, from praising political rivals to pushing for drastic climate policies, yet flying around in private jets. It's time to expose the truth. Stick with me as we break down the real agenda behind the rhetoric and ask, are these politicians truly working for you, or are they just playing a dangerous game for power? Let's get into it. Let's start with Chuck Schumer, a man who made headlines recently when he offered an unexpected compliment to none other than Donald Trump. Schumer reminisced about their shared Brooklyn roots and their family's history as builders in the borough. While he didn't go as far as endorsing Trump, his words spoke volumes. But here's the twist. Chuck Schumer, once a vocal critic of Trump, has been seen in a much different light these days. Could it be that his political capital is running thin? Recent polls out of New York show Schumer's popularity hitting an all-time low, with AOC's star on the rise. This begs the question, are Schumer's days numbered in a state that's increasingly leaning left? Some say he's just playing politics, aligning himself with Trump to stay relevant. But what's really driving Schumer's sudden shift? This brings me to a broader, more critical point. The Democratic Party, under the leadership of people like Schumer, seems to have a troubling pattern, one that's based not on principles, but on power. Consider the case of a Maryland senator who, back in 2017, took to Twitter to bash Trump, criticizing the president's stance on immigration. He said the U.S. should focus on deporting MS-13 gang members, not deporting scholarship winners. Fast forward to this year, he was spotted boarding a plane to El Salvador to bring back a suspected MS-13 gang member. So what changed? Could it be the optics of political grandstanding? His hypocrisy is stark, while he's working hard to bring back one suspect from El Salvador. Will he pick up the phone and speak to the families of young women murdered in his own state by illegal immigrants? Just days ago, another illegal immigrant was charged with murdering a 23-year-old woman. Where's the outcry from the senator? And why is it only the political stunts that get his attention? This pattern of hypocrisy extends far beyond a few.
The same guy that last week, went to visit the deported suspected MS-13 gang member to bring him back to this country. Chris Van Hollen threw a fit, even got on that plane to El Salvador, demanding his immediate return. That would be political grandstanding at its worst. And this is the same Chris Van Hollen couldn't even pick up a telephone and speak with the families of young women who were raped and murdered in his state by unvetted illegal immigrants. And just yesterday, another illegal immigrant was charged with the murder of a 23-year-old woman whose body was found in a Maryland forest. Will he pick up the phone now? But we have yet to see any kind of hysteria from Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. I'm sure he's just very worn out. He's probably very tired from his big trip to El Salvador.
Individuals, it's systemic. Take Al Gore, for example. He's been the face of climate activism for decades, warning us about the impending climate crisis. But just last week, Gore used Earth Day as an opportunity to compare Trump to Adolf Hitler. Yes, you heard that right. He openly suggested that the Trump administration was taking us down the same path as Nazi Germany. It's a baffling comparison. But it gets even worse when you look at the context. Gore has made dire predictions about the planet for years. In 2007, he claimed we were facing a planetary emergency, warning that humanity could soon be in peril. Yet, time and time again, his predictions have failed. He claimed in 2009 that 75% of the polar ice caps would melt in the next 5 to 7 years. False. By 2015, those same ice caps expanded in many areas. He predicted the extinction of coral reefs, only for them to grow by 2% in 2019. It's not just the failed predictions that expose Gore's agenda, it's his blatant hypocrisy. While he's been preaching the dangers of climate change, he continues to live a lavish lifestyle, traveling around the world on a private jet, spewing climate rhetoric. Gore's the poster child for environmental hypocrisy. Just like Joe Biden's climate czar, he justifies his use of private jets with a smug sense of entitlement. And let's not forget another political figure who warned that the world would end in 12 years due to rising CO2 levels. Fast forward to her jet setting around in a private jet, leaving a massive carbon footprint while lecturing the rest of us on how we need to reduce ours. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a larger pattern of political elitism. But it doesn't stop there. The hypocrisy of the left goes deeper, right down to the streets of New York. Recently, environmental activists painted the iconic Wall Street Bull to show their dedication to the climate cause. But when the cops arrived, the activists scrambled to clean up their mess. Why? Because they didn't actually care enough about their cause to face any real consequences. It's a reflection of the left's deep-seated hypocrisy. They want to change the world, but they're not willing to put their freedom or their comfort on the line to do so.
Environmental activists in New York, they painted Wall Street's iconic bull to show their dedication to the climate cult and socialism, but then frantically they cleaned up their mess when the cops arrived on the scene. They don't actually care enough about their cause to go to jail. Now, of course, if you're in Minnesota and you damage private property, no consequences in Tim Walz's state, so long as your cause aligns with the radical left Democratic extremists. For example, a far-left Minnesota state employee was just gifted a get-out-of-jail-free card by a woke district attorney after allegedly causing more than $20,000 in damage to several Tesla vehicles. Sounds like domestic terrorism to me, but what would I know? Make no mistake, at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with the earth cooling, global warming, which has evolved into the generic climate change. So if it gets warm, they have...
If you think that's where the hypocrisy ends, think again. In Minnesota, a state employee was recently given a get-out-of-jail-free card after allegedly causing over $20,000 in damage to several Teslas. Why? Because their cause aligned with the radical left's agenda. This is the same party that claims to fight for justice, yet they've turned a blind eye to criminal damage and left-wing extremism. For the left, it's not about doing the right thing. It's about advancing their agenda, no matter the cost. Let's talk about the Green New Deal. The left claims that it's about saving the planet, but if you look closely, it has nothing to do with the environment at all. The Green New Deal is a vehicle for socialism designed to redistribute power and wealth under the guise of environmentalism. It's a perfect example of how the left has hijacked climate change as a means to achieve their political goals. Climate change is no longer about protecting the earth. It's a tool to advance Marxism and statism. The left's true priorities have nothing to do with climate change or protecting the planet. It's about control, power, and keeping you dependent on them. Just look at the state of our cities. In San Francisco, a young girl is forced to navigate a sidewalk filled with drug addicts. An unsettling picture of what happens when certain policies are in place. These are the same people who want to control every aspect of your life, yet can't even maintain basic law and order in their own cities. Let's not forget the staggering national debt, now approaching $40 trillion. The party in control has managed to spend more on education than any other country, yet our schools are failing. Social Security and Medicaid are on the brink of bankruptcy, and public safety continues to decline in cities across the country. This is the reality of certain governance. They claim to care about you, but the evidence says otherwise. And let's finish with a state's governor who's trying to distance himself from the consequences of his own disastrous policies. Just this week, his parole board ordered the release of a man who had been convicted of beating a 2-year-old to death. This is the state that allowed rampant crime to flourish in the name of progressive policies. And now, the governor is trying to rewrite history, distancing himself from the very decisions that created this mess. In the end, the radical agenda has failed miserably. It's time to face the facts. The ideology is not working for the people. The political elite continue to push for power, all while disregarding the very people they claim to represent. The question remains, will the American people wake up to this hypocrisy, or will they continue to fall for the same old lies?